Hey guys, Jeff Barber here again for RC Universe, and today we're going to be talking a little bit more in depth about the new Graupner MZ32. Again, it's available from GraupnerUSA.com here in the United States, and I'm sure there's other distributors worldwide. You're going to want to get your hands on one of these transmitters. They are very cool. There's so much that you can do with this transmitter that's better than pretty much everything else that's out there right now. Lots of functions, lots of programming, lots of just everything that you can think of that you'd want in a transmitter. The Graupner MZ32 has. It's really cool. So today for part 2 we're going to take a little bit more in-depth look at the firmware, the operating system, and some of the features that you can get into and work with within the transmitter. So stay tuned, and we'll kind of wrap it up at the end of this video, and I'll give you my final thoughts on this transmitter and what I think of it. So stay tuned, and we'll get back into the meat and potatoes, as you would say, of this transmitter. So hang around, I'll be right back. In video 2, we're going to dive into the touch screen and the software version a little bit and take a look at some of the different things that you can do within the firmware and what this transmitter is actually capable of. We touched on the MP3 radio or music player in the first video, so we're not going to go into that. Now, I did want to give you just a quick demonstration of how easy it is. Let's just say, for instance, I don't want the throttle cut indicator on my touch screen here, so I just push it, and it brings up a screen here that basically will tell me what I want to do. Okay, do I want to keep it or do I want to delete it? If I don't want it there, I hit delete and hit OK, and you'll notice it's gone. Now I've got a blank spot there. So with that blank spot, I can go into my menu, and it gives me all sorts of different programming options here. System, receiver, general, electric, Vario, GPS, air, electronic speed control, and just those are the menus. So if I go to system, I can do shortcut, digital switch, menu, label, phase, throttle cut, radio frequency out, ASC2, and the list goes on and on and on. So if I wanted to put in, let's just say, date and time. So I've highlighted it. I click OK. And now see, that one unfortunately is not going to work because it's requiring 2 spaces. So I'm going to hit cancel. And we're going to go to, we'll touch on a digital switch. Now what a digital switch does, let's just say you've got a very large warbird, and you've got flaps, and you've got retracts, and you've got bomb drops, and you've got this and that, and you've used up all of your physical switches. With a digital switch, we've got 1 through 16 and 40 to all the way down to 49 through 64. And we're just going to touch on that, and now we've got DS1 right here, and I can turn that digital switch. I have to activate it, set it to a channel, set it to activate, but I can turn that switch on and off just by tapping my screen. And now that is taking the place of a physical switch on and off on the transmitter. So instead of reaching up here, I just touch the screen, and it will do the exact same thing. You'll notice that you can do GPS and have that display up on your screen. It will also read it, voice it out to speak it to you if you'd like that. Again, that's why I've got my Bluetooth earbuds set up, so I can plug those into my ear and listen to that while I'm flying. So, but yeah, there's a lot of different neat things. If I wanted to get in, I've got the system menu here on my main control screen. I can get in and see all the different things on here. Lots of cool stuff. Widget, notice, mode 2. I've got it set for the lithium polymer battery. English language, English voice. Units are feet and degrees Fahrenheit. That is all adjustable. You can change any of that. There's a large variety of different languages that are available, and you can also change it from Fahrenheit to Celsius if you want to do that as well. Lots of cool stuff in here. And we'll just exit out. Oh, by the way, you see the little question mark up in the corner? That is a help screen. Just like you'd have on your PC, your home computer, your laptop, your phone. Maybe not so much your phone, but the other ones. Tap on the help menu and it's going to bring it up. Right here we're on the home screen, so it's going to talk about the widgets. And if you can't read it, it says the MZ32 home screen is designed around widgets. There are a total of 6 decks that can be designed with widgets. Each widget fits inside a 1, 2, or 4 presentation block. We'll hit over because there's more information. And you can read on, so forth. Now that it's not just this screen. So let's just say I go into my switch set. Now here's where we can see the stick movement. Okay, well, what's that do? I tap on the question mark and it gives me a definition or an explanation as to what I can do within this screen. That's pretty cool. Not too many transmitters that I've seen that have a help menu built right into it. You know, this is really neat because it eliminates a lot of what you need a manual for. You know, the transmitter does come with a basic, quick start type manual. It's a 49-page manual. Now, really, for a transmitter of this caliber and this many options, 49 pages isn't really going to cut it. That's why this help menu is so important, because this is going to give you a lot of the instruction and direction that you'd get in a manual. So it's pretty cool. We'll get out of there and we'll go to snap roll. I can set up a switch, a function switch, so I can hold that or momentary, and it's going to put in all the inputs so we can do a snap roll with the airplane. Again, click on the help menu and it gives you a definition and description as to why you would use that and how to set it up. It's pretty cool. Now we'll get into the notices and the notifications. User notice. User notice is going to give you the important ones. Battery voltage, receiver strength, receiver temperature. Receiver temperature is kind of cool. It is set up, as you can see, default at 140 degrees Fahrenheit. Now, you can adjust it from there if you want. You can add things to this. You can subtract things. Personally, I like to keep it simple and keep just the basic ones for the defaults on the user notices. But these will all speak out and give me an audible warning if they are in low, say, battery voltage, low receiver, or high temperature. They're neat. If we go into control notice, here is where you can program all your switches. You can set it up, like I said earlier, I've got switch 4 set for my 3 phases for flight control. Basically normal, Aerobat, and Aerobat or Aero 3D.
Aero 3D.
As I flip the switch,
Aerobat. Normal.
You can see that not only is the switch position changing by the switch SW4 icon,
Aerobat. Aero 3D.
but you can see it changes there and it calls out the phase that I'm in.
Normal.
Now you could set that up for every single switch on here, and it can be talking to you as much or as little as you want it. That's pretty cool. If we go into control switch, we can do the same thing. You can add all sorts of different things there. Digital switch. Digital switch is where we would set up that switch on the main screen so that if we had all our physical switches used and we needed another function, we can set it up with a digital switch right on the touch screen. And again, if we touch the help, it's going to talk about that and give us a definition or not some instruction on what it is and how to set it up. So we'll close out of there. Trainer function. Trainer function is really cool. Like a lot of transmitters, you can set it up so that, you know, the trainer, your student, only has certain functions. If you want them to focus only on aileron control, you can set it up so that's the only control they have over the airplane. And as they progress, you can go on and give them more control over different things. Now it's really cool because you can set it up on a switch just like other transmitters, and it will speak at you at the same time. It'll tell you what you're doing, and I'm trying to remember. I guess I don't have that one set up. I did in one of the previous firmware versions, but when we were in the beta testing and they updated a new version, sometimes we lost things we had programmed. But rest assured, firmware updates now, that does not happen. So if you update to new firmware over what you had previously and it's programmed, you've got different models in there, everything will be there after the firmware update. Now, speaking of models, let me get out of here. We'll go to Home, back to the menu. Model list. Okay, I have two models programmed here, Chester and Test 1. Now that's just two of the 999 models that this transmitter can store. That's right, you can have 999 different models stored within the MZ32 transmitter. That's a whole lot of models. And now, you know what? Again, with the 10-hour battery life at the field, you could set this up and you could bring several different airplanes, up to 999, with you to the field and use the same transmitter all day long. Now the nice thing about Graupner is they do have a wide variety of receivers available. Receivers are anywhere from right around $30 up to $189 depending on what you want. They do have different receivers that have 3-axis gyros or 6-axis gyros built in that will help you with flight stabilization. You can get indoor micro receivers, and anything in between, and it's pretty cool. Now, being a 32 channel transmitter, you're thinking, well, how do I get 32 channels on a single receiver? The good news is you don't have to put all 32 channels on a single transmitter or single receiver. You can bind up to 4 different receivers to a single model at a time. Now that means that you're going to get rid of a lot of excess wiring. Say you have a warbird that is a twin engine, so you've got on each side of the fuselage you have an engine, a retract, flaps, ailerons, and let's just say you're a super scale modeler and you've got a bomb drop out on the wing as well. Okay, so now all of a sudden you've got all of those items and you can put all of those on a single receiver. As long as it's got its own power source, that's all you need. So if you had a battery and a switch on the wing, you're ready to go. You've got a receiver for that wing and it's ready to rock and roll. A lot less plugging in wires and all that stuff when you get to the field. You can just put the wing on and go. So then you could have a receiver in the left wing and a receiver in the right wing, and you can have another one for your functions within the fuselage. You can have elevators, and I mean, with this transmitter you can do anything you want. You could have a rotating turret, like say on one of the heavy metal warbirds, B-17 or a B-25. You can do a lot of cool different functions and really scale out your aircraft and have moving parts that otherwise you just might not have the channels to do. And if you run out of the physical switches, you can go right back to your digital switches, touch them, and you can set them up. They'll pulse, they'll turn intermittent on and off. You can set the delay on them. So if you wanted something that was like a flashing light, you could set the flash on, off, and it would just work. And you wouldn't have to sit there and flick a switch back and forth, on and off, all day long as you were flying. It's pretty cool stuff. Now, as I mentioned earlier, I have mine set here. My main screen is set up with GPS distance, altitude, and speed. I have one of the GPS modules from Graupner that will plug into my receiver, and I can get that information right here on the screen. Okay, so one of the really cool features that I love about these Graupner transmitters is their sequencers, channel sequencers. So we're going to go into the function menu, and we're going to go into and we're going to go into sequencer. Now, in this sequencer unit, you can select different channels and get them to work together on a single switch. So, like for this instance, 1, 2, and 3. I want channel 1 to be an outer gear door. I want channel 2 to be an inner gear door, and I want channel 3 to be the retract. Now, let's just say we're working on a P-51 Mustang, and we've got the outer or the inner gear doors that open first, then the gear comes down, and at the end of that, once the gear's down, that inner gear door tucks back up. Using the channel sequencer, we can set that up to do exactly that. We can do that with a delay, so we can open that door, drop the gear, and the inner gear door comes back up. All of it done right from the transmitter. There's no setting anything up. There's no magic boxes you got to put in your airplane. Everything is done right from the transmitter, and it is way cool. So here we are at the main screen again, and I can go into model types, and I don't want the name Test 1 anymore. I want to change that. As you can see here, I've already got it set up as an aileron, or an airplane with one aileron and one flap servo and a normal tail. And I can drag this, and you can see the rest of them. I've got throttle settings, engine, or I can change, yeah, one engine, I can go one engine, two engines, three engines, and back. I've got throttle and brake function there, and I can also change my stick mode depending on which stick mode I wanted for this particular model. Now, being that I'm in the United States, I'm going to stick with mode 2 and leave it there. So I want to change the name of this model from Test 1. We're going to change it to, and again, it's just like using your touch screen on your cell phone. And we're going to change this to RC, nope, RCU space test. And we're going to hit enter, and there we go. Now we've changed it. We'll back out, and now it says RCU test at the top. So it's pretty easy to figure out how to run this transmitter. You don't need a huge manual. You just spend a few days, some time playing with it. Days is not. A little bit of time, you'll start figuring it out. Like I said, everything here is adjustable, and you can make changes to the screen, the widgets. Everything on here is adjustable and interchangeable. If I decided I didn't want the GPS screen, I can get rid of it. If I wanted the voltage or the loss packet gone, I can get rid of it. Everything on this screen, minus the top row, is all completely customizable. And that's what makes this one of the coolest transmitters on the planet. Now, one of the more useful features that I have set up on my panel here on my touchscreen is the Throttle Cut. As you can see now, I've got no throttle on my small electric aircraft that's off screen or off camera here. But all I got to do is touch that. I don't know if you can hear it in the background, but now the motor is running. So rather than taking up one of my physical switches, I can actually assign it to a digital switch or a throttle cut right here on the touch screen. Again, touching that, the icon lights up and I've got no throttle. That's pretty cool. I could turn the RF on and off if I needed to. In this case, I don't want to because I've got a battery plugged in yet, but I can set that throttle response or the throttle cut. I go into the menu right here, and the trigger and the cut off are set to the same unit right now. Now right now, being that the unit is on, or the throttle cut is on, you can see just the input side is moving. That's signifying that my stick is moving. Disconnect it so it's off, and now you'll see that both the input and the output move at the same rate. Basically, it's not so much a throttle cut as it is a signal disconnect between this and the receiver. It just shuts off the signal so that it doesn't send a throttle signal. So there, we're connected or disconnected, and we've got nothing. So it's pretty cool stuff. So here we've got a list. The control set tells me all the different channels and what I've got set up. Of course, this one is just a small aerobatic model, so I've got the 4 channels. But as you can see, it goes all the way up to 16 on page 1. Then I'm going to hit the page button, and it gives me 17 through 32. You can see all sorts. I got the delay that I can do, and here get to one of these on the aileron channel. You can see basic function. It shows you where it is on there. Now that's going to change
Arrow 3D. Arabic. Normal.
depending on where I am on here.
Arabic. Arrow 3D.
You can see the X shows my actual position of the stick, and it actually, if you'll notice, it goes above and below or above that blue line, and that's because I have exponential set in there as well.
Arabic.
If I go there, you can see it adjusts a little bit,
Normal.
and just normal is a fairly straight line. I do have just a hair of exponential put in there as well on all of them. But the one thing I want to get across to you guys is you don't need to spend hours and hours and hours reading a book. Everything you need to know about this transmitter is built in. It's right here in the help section. Everything you need to know. It gives you a definition, it gives you what you're trying to do, and it tells you pretty well how to do it. And that's the cool thing. It doesn't get any easier than that. And again, back yourself out, you're back to your normal, standard, custom. Just back out and you're right back at your flying touchscreen. Now you can also lock this. I don't know that I have it set up. I don't have it set up right now, but you can lock the screen so that nobody else can mess with it while you're flying or inadvertently touch something while you're flying. So there's a lot of cool different functions, and I mean, this is just an outstanding radio. There's so much you can do with it. There's so many channels, and it's just way cool. Well, that's going to pretty much wrap up our intro and quick look at the new Graupner MZ32 transmitter. Once again, 32 channels. You got a whole bunch of really cool things you can do. Not a lot of other transmitters are going to come close to this, and the ones that do are going to cost a lot more money. This transmitter is looking to hit the market. Actually, it is already on the market, and it's available for $989 at the time of the review here, and I don't think that price is going to be going up any. So, you're looking at a 32 channel transmitter, a carrying case, some accessories, a 12 channel receiver, and oh, I forgot to mention you get a handy dandy Graupner neck strap as well. Got a really nice heavy duty clasp on the end. This is a class act. Nice job. So you get all of that for less than $1,000. I call that a win, because the next closest transmitter I know of is a 16 channel for approximately $700, or you step up to an 18 channel on some of the other brands and you're getting close to $2,000. So there was a flagship radio by JR a few years ago that was a 28 channel, and I want to say that was pretty close to $3,000. So under $1,000, 32 channels, telemetry. It's got everything you need. 999 model memory. This thing is awesome, and I cannot wait to see all my fellow pilots using it at the field. Thanks, guys. Take care. We'll talk to you later. Have a good one.